You are not going to attract that person by thinking about them harder. You are not going to manifest them by repeating their name 1,000 times before bed. And you are definitely not going to bring them into your life by obsessing over every text, every sign, every moment of silence. The reason that person is not in your life yet is because of who you believe you are. Not who they are, not what they want, who you believe you are. And that distinction changes everything. Because for decades, people have misunderstood manifestation as some kind of mental remote control, pointing your thoughts at someone and hoping they comply. Wrong approach entirely. The law of assumption, taught by Neville Goddard over 70 years ago, has nothing to do with controlling another person's free will. It has everything to do with reprogramming your inner world so completely that your outer reality has no choice but to reflect it back. Today, I am going to walk you through exactly how this works, step by step. And by the end of this video, you will understand why everything you have tried before failed and what to do instead. Change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live. Let us begin. Here is where almost everyone gets it wrong, and I need you to hear this before we go any further. When most people try to manifest a specific person, they focus entirely on that person. They visualize their face. They script conversations. They whisper affirmations about their name, and the entire time they are radiating one single frequency: desperation. And desperation is the most powerful repellent in the universe. Think about it. When you are constantly thinking about someone you do not have, what are you actually affirming? You are affirming their absence. You are confirming with every anxious thought that they are not here, that you are not with them, that something is missing. As the psychologist Carl Jung understood deeply, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Your unconscious assumption is lack, and the law of assumption is brutally literal. Whatever you assume to be true, it will harden into fact, not what you wish, not what you hope, what you assume at your core. Lack breeds lack. So the very act of trying to manifest someone from a place of wanting them is the thing that pushes them away. But here is where it gets interesting, because understanding this mistake opens the door to something far more powerful. The law of assumption does not ask you to change someone else. It asks you to change yourself, specifically your self-concept. Your self-concept is the collection of beliefs you hold about who you are, what you deserve, and what is possible for you. And right now, if that person is not in your life, it is because your self-concept does not include a version of you that naturally has them. Identity. Neville Goddard taught that your entire outer world is a mirror of your inner assumptions. Every relationship, every rejection, every moment of being ignored is a direct reflection of what you believe about yourself at the deepest level. If you believe you are someone who gets left behind, you will be left behind. If you believe you are someone who is always chasing, you will always be chasing. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you assume you are. If this is starting to shift something inside you, hit like and subscribe to keep reprogramming these deep beliefs with me. Because what comes next is where the real transformation begins. The question is not how do I get this person? The question is who do I need to become so that having this person is simply natural? And that shift, that single reframe, is the entire secret. But knowing it is not enough. You need to know how to actually do it. Neville Goddard's most powerful instruction was deceptively simple. Live in the end, not hope for the end, not wish for the end. Not visualize the end and then open your eyes and feel the crushing weight of current reality. Live in the end. Living in the end means assuming the feeling of your wish already fulfilled. It means that right now, in this moment, you carry yourself as someone who already has this person in their life. Not tomorrow, not when they text back, now. And this is where most people fail because they treat it like a visualization exercise. They close their eyes for 10 minutes, imagine a scene, and then spend the remaining 23 hours and 50 minutes in anxiety and doubt. That is not living in the end. That is visiting the end and then returning to your old assumptions. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and observe the route that your attention follows. The feeling is everything. When you truly assume something, you do not need to force it. You do not need to remind yourself. You simply know it, the way you know your own name. The mask comes off, and what remains is the truth of who you really are. But there is a specific technique that makes this almost automatic, and that is exactly what we are diving into next. This is the technique Neville Goddard used personally, and it is the most effective tool I have ever encountered for manifesting a specific person. He called it the state akin to sleep method, but I want to simplify it for you. Every night just before you fall asleep, when your conscious mind is relaxing and your subconscious is most receptive, you create one short scene, not a movie, not a long fantasy. One scene that implies your wish has already been fulfilled. A single scene that could only happen if they were already yours. Maybe it is them saying, "I love you." Maybe it is a friend congratulating you on your relationship. Maybe it is waking up next to them and feeling the warmth. The key is implication. The scene must imply it is done. Already real, already yours. Feel it real. Then you loop it, play it again and again, soaking in the emotion until you fall asleep inside that feeling. This is not daydreaming. This is programming. Your subconscious mind cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. Neuroscience has confirmed this. The same neural pathways fire whether you physically experience something or intensely imagine it. Your brain literally cannot tell the difference. And when your subconscious accepts something as real, it begins reorganizing your entire reality to match. But there is a critical mistake people make with this technique that sabotages everything. Here is the paradox that breaks most people's brains. You have to want them and not need them at the same time. Detach. After you do your scene, after you fall asleep in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you wake up the next morning and you let go. You do not check their social media. You do not analyze their behavior. You do not look for signs that it is working. Because the moment you start looking for evidence, you are admitting that you do not truly believe it is done. Think about something you are absolutely certain about. Do you check for proof that your name is your name? Do you look for signs that gravity is working? No, because you know that is the level of assumption required. To desire a state is to admit you do not have it, but to assume you are already in that state is to live from it. Detachment is not indifference. It is supreme confidence. It is the calm knowing that what you have planted in your imagination is growing in reality, even when you cannot see it yet. The seed does not dig itself up to check if it is growing. You planted it, now let the law do its work. But most people cannot detach because of one invisible force that keeps pulling them back into desperation, and we need to talk about it now. The reason you cannot detach, the reason you keep spiraling back into anxiety and obsession, is because you keep telling yourself the old story. Old story must die. The old story is every narrative you carry about why this person is not with you. They left me. They do not feel the same way. They are with someone else. They never noticed me. It is complicated. Every time you repeat these phrases, whether out loud to friends or silently in your head, you are reinforcing the assumption that creates your reality. You are watering the weeds instead of the garden. And here is what makes this so dangerous. The old story feels true. It feels like you are just being realistic. But Neville taught something radical. Do not accept the evidence of your senses as final. Your assumptions create your reality, not your observations. Your current circumstances are the result of your past assumptions. They are yesterday's manifestation. Looking at them and concluding this is how things are as like looking at yesterday's weather report and deciding it will rain forever. Burn the old story, write a new one. Every time the old narrative surfaces, consciously replace it, not with force, but with a quiet inner knowing that the new story is the real one. And the most powerful tool for rewriting this story is something most people completely overlook. Your inner dialogue is the most underestimated force in manifestation. It is the constant stream of thoughts running through your head every single day, and most people have no idea what theirs is actually saying. Your inner conversations are literally creating your tomorrow. Right now, when you think about this person, what does your internal voice say? Does it say they are lucky to have you? Or does it say you are not good enough? Does it say this is natural and easy? Or does it say this will never work? Neville Goddard was absolutely clear about this. Your inner speech, the things you say to yourself silently throughout the day, is the creative force that shapes your reality. Not your morning affirmation session, not your vision board. The constant inner conversation you maintain all day, every day. Every thought creates. Start monitoring it. Start catching yourself mid-sentence when your inner voice says something that contradicts your desired reality. And then gently, deliberately redirect it. If your mind says they do not want me, replace it with I am exactly what they have been looking for. Reprogram the voice inside your head, not as a desperate affirmation, as a calm statement of fact. Because here is the truth that connects all of this together, and it might be the most important thing you hear today. This is the concept that either sets you free or makes you deeply uncomfortable, possibly both. Neville Goddard taught a principle that challenges everything you believe about relationships. Aipo, everyone is you pushed out. It means that every person in your experience is reflecting back your own assumptions about yourself and about them. When that person ignores you, they are reflecting your assumption that you are someone who gets ignored. When they seem cold, they are reflecting your belief that love is difficult or that you are not worthy of warmth. The world is yourself pushed out. Ask yourself what you believe about yourself, and you will see it reflected everywhere. This is not about blame, this is about power. Because if they are reflecting your assumptions, then you have the power to change what they reflect. You mirror your power. When you change your self-concept, when you genuinely assume that you are someone who is loved, chosen, desired, and valued, the people around you begin to shift. Not because you are controlling them, because you are no longer projecting the old version of yourself onto the screen of reality. They can only show you what you believe about yourself. Change the projector, and the movie changes automatically. But there is one more piece to this puzzle that makes the entire practice sustainable and permanent. A mental diet is to your mind what a food diet is to your body. It is the conscious decision to only consume and entertain thoughts that align with your desired reality. And just like a physical diet, cheating has consequences. Neville Goddard was relentless about this. He said that for just 3 days, if you could maintain a strict mental diet, refusing to entertain any thought that contradicts your assumption, your entire world would begin to shift. 3 days. 3 days of disciplined thinking can reshape your entire reality. But here is why most people fail. They police their big thoughts but let the small ones slip through. The casual doubt when they see that person online, the fleeting jealousy when they post with someone else, the quiet whisper of maybe this is not going to work. Those small thoughts are not small, they are cracks in the dam. 1. Catch every negative thought about the situation. 2. Replace it immediately with the new assumption. 3. Refuse to discuss the old story with anyone. 4. Fall asleep every night in the wish fulfilled. Your mental diet is not a one-time exercise. It is a lifestyle. It is the daily practice of choosing your assumptions deliberately instead of letting your old programming choose for you. Guard your mind daily. And this brings us to the final revelation, the one that ties everything together and makes this entire process unstoppable. Here is where everything clicks into place. You are not trying to get a specific person. You are becoming the version of yourself that already has them. That is the entire law of assumption in one sentence. When you shift your self-concept to someone who is naturally loved, naturally chosen, naturally magnetic, you do not chase. You attract, you do not beg. You receive, you do not hope, you know. And the beautiful paradox is this. When you truly become that person, when you genuinely embody the version of yourself that is secure, fulfilled, and whole, one of two things happens. Either that specific person enters your life in ways you could never have orchestrated, or you realize that you have become someone who deserves even more than what you originally asked for. Either way, you win. Dare to believe in the reality of your assumption, and watch the world play its part relative to its fulfillment. This is not about desperation wrapped in spirituality. This is about genuine transformation, the kind that changes not just one relationship, but every relationship you will ever have. Because when you fix the signal, everything that receives it changes. You were never manifesting a person. You were manifesting yourself. If you made it this far, comment assumption fulfilled to prove you understand the real secret. Because most people will watch this video and go right back to chasing. But not you. You are different. You now know that the person you have been trying to manifest is waiting for the version of you that already has them. So stop chasing. Start becoming. Your mind is either programmed for love or for loneliness. Now you know how to reprogram it.